All right, Shalom. I'm going to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rechakudash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. I found this on CNBC.com. It says, Global Week Ahead, Operation Epic Fury means new risk for markets. And I was going on X and I was finding out, they said they calling it Operation Epstein Fury because they're saying he did that to, distract from the files and stuff. And who knows why he did it. We know he's doing it because he got a short time left, and the Lord made him do it at the end of the day. Key points: investors brace for a wave of volatility following the attacks on Iran. So different investors that that works on your economy. Okay, you're gonna be it tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes, let's go there real quick, that the keepers of the house shall tremble. Let's start there. Ecclesiastes, let's go in the blue letter first real quick so I can find out the precept that I'm looking for. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So you want to remember the Creator before the evil day comes. Okay, the evil day is talking about the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. You want to be, understanding what the will of the Lord is before that time and operating under the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Now this is also talking about the thermonuclear destruction before that day comes, because that's the wrath of the Lord. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. So the keepers of the house are your banking families, okay, your economists, those who in society who operate, get that flow of money going, keep the economy going. But when there's wars and things like that, these investors don't want to invest in specific areas so they're trembling, so they're not giving out loans. They're not, they're waiting to see how volatile it actually is, because they gotta, they're looking at the future. They're saying, okay, if we can get our goods from over there that are gonna sell over here, then we'll invest in those things. But if we're not sure, that uncertainty that it creates with war, you don't know if it's gonna make it over here. Let's read this in the NLT before I go down. Remember him before your legs, the guards of your house start to tremble, and before your shoulders and strong men stoop. Now the strong men's talking about his military. They're gonna be weak, especially when they have to go to war for a country that isn't, the morale of this place isn't it's not high. Remember him before your teeth, your few remaining servants stop grinding. And the NLT is going off, but the grinders cease because they are few. The grinding is talking about, it's a metaphor, or it's symbolic of the work there ain't gonna be any work here, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So there's not gonna be a future here. That's what that's talking about. But I want to see it's probably not going to break it down the way I'm breaking it down, but I'm curious to see what it says in the Bible Hub. The phrase metaphorically describes the aging process where the keepers of the house are often interpreted as the hands or arms, which begin to tremble with age. In biblical times, the house was a central part of life, symbolizing stability and security. The trembling of the keepers suggests a loss of control and strength, reflecting the frailty that comes with old age. This imagery is consistent with the biblical theme of human mortality and the transient nature of life, as seen in Psalms 39, 4 through 5. Let's see what that says. Psalms 39, verse 4. Lord, make me to know mine end and the measure of my days, what it is, what I may know how frail I am. Psalms 39 verse 5, behold, thou hast made my days as a handbreadth, and my age is as nothing before thee. Verily, every man at his best state is altogether vanity, Salah. So with that saying, it's a metaphor for the you getting older. As you get older, it's better to seek the Lord now before you get older, and you just get more stuck in your ways, and you know, um, you get old. You get old, you forget things. You forget what matters. It's better to get to have that relationship with the Lord while you're younger. And it don't matter if you're old and you're just hearing the truth, you can serve him then too, which speaks of the brevity of human existence. So it doesn't really know. It doesn't really know. Now, it is talking about scriptures are twofold, but how this applies today is it's going into prophecy. Ecclesiastes 12 is going into prophecy, but if you listen to the Bible Hub, or you go search places, you're not going to hear that. Now, we get this knowledge from our apostles and elders on down from the Great Millstone, so this is why, we know. And if you can't see it, it's because Matthew 13 and 10. Let me grab it. These parables are not for everybody to get. This is a deeper understanding of the scriptures. Matthew 13 and 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So these different parables and breakdowns, it's not for everyone to understand. So if you're not getting it, it's, it is what it is. It's not for you. But I didn't even read the article. So that's going into the volatility following the attacks on Iran. So that's going into the keepers of the house in Ecclesiastes 12 verse 3. Middle East markets sink while some remain closed during Sunday's trade. Oil markets in focus following OPEC's output increase in significant disruption through Strait of Hormuz. And it's, it sounds like you would think they would shut the Strait of Hormuz given all the bombing that's going on. But it affects both sides of the coin. They're struggling economy, and that would probably hurt them more than America right now. So all of this gets played into the volatility of the stock market, because the thing is a lot of the Babylonians, they only care about the stock market. They don't care about other people suffering and dying and all that. All they care about is themselves. So that's one thing you learn through when you're constantly diligently looking. That's why Pam Bondi and the Duck always be pointing at the stock market. That's what really matters. That's what to the minds of the people. They don't give a fuck about other people suffering, people dying. They don't care about the Epstein files. They'll tell you, put regime change over there so we don't have to go to war anymore, so the stock market can pretty much be stabilized. We just had protests here in Boston, and where is that at? I think I dropped it, but we had these protests in Boston, and they were jumping for joy. Oh, he did a great job. They're looking for regime change in that country, but they don't care about the regime that's in their own country. So it shows you the mindset. And these are Iranian people. So it shows you they all drunk of the cup. They're all fully drunken. They're fully aligned with wickedness, and there's no change in them. So, destruction needs, there's no fixing the situation over here. Even the people, the protests that you see here in Boston, Massachusetts, that's why this place needs to be destroyed. Okay, because these people, as long as their their bank account is good and stuff, they don't care about anybody else's suffering. They don't care about kids missing. They don't care about none of that stuff. They're fully given over to wickedness. They're demons. Air travel across the Middle East suspended and global flight paths impacted. What is this? This thick plumes of smoke rise over the residential areas of the Iranian capital following airstrikes amid ongoing USA-Israel attacks as multiple explosions are heard across the city of Tehran, Iran on March 1st, 2026. So you got two countries bombing Iran. Where's China? Where's Russia? Where's your allies, Persia? No one's coming to help you. No, the whole world just watched you get bombed, and you know they still did a lot. You know, they bombed these UAE. They bombed. I think I'm hearing 15 different countries, different U.S. military bases. You know, but I also read an article that they knew this attack was coming to them, and these other countries knew that they were going to be attacked too. So it was all coordinated strikes. We hear it all the time on CNBC. Markets hate uncertainty, and the events over the last 48 hours have changed the face of international politics in a way that will leave investors across the globe scrambling to understand the ramifications. That's the keepers of the house. These different bankers, people rely on loans, people rely on, different investments, the different economists, people, stock people, even the common stock holders, they might want to take their money out because they have uncertainty. They don't want to risk the, they'll take the, whatever the price of the stock is today, because it's better to take whatever loss you got now early than it is to wait for it to go all the way down and come all the way back up. So I don't look at the stock market like that. I kind of read it for whatever it is, because I understand that Proverbs 23:5. Let's go there real quick. In my opinion, I'm glad I'm broke. I got enough to get through what I need, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. And if the Lord take that away, I'm cool with that too. I don't give a shit about none of this shit. If I gotta be outside, hey, I'm good. All I'm trying to do is get the victory over this damn devil. Everything else, you take the crib. I don't care about none of this shit, man. I'm ready for whatever, man. Let's do it. I just want to see Esau fall. That's it. That's my wish. That's my blessing. That's all I care about. Let me grab this real quick in Ecclesiasticus 25. I want to see him get put to death. That's it. That's what I hope I get to see. This nigga die. Ecclesiasticus 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue, a man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. So I want to be happy too. That's all. Like the scriptures describes it to be. All right. Proverbs 23:5 in the KJV. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon which is not, that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Let's look this up. Your riches fly away as an eagle towards heaven. What does that mean? Warns against placing trust in fleeting wealth. Your wealth is fleeting every single day. You have no control over it. You couldn't tell the duck to not bomb Iran. He was fully committed to that. This was a long time ago. Now the Jews been trying to talking this weapon of mass destruction since 1996. So this was always in the back of their minds. Okay, Proverbs 23:5 warns against placing trust in fleeting wealth, stating that riches can vanish instantly. Yeah, the money you invested in could just went. A lot of people probably lost money with this shit that happened. And he told them 10 to 15 days, so they thought maybe they would come to negotiations. They thought things were going to be good, so they left their money. Now that shit went the opposite way, and that could take, who knows? This shit is escalating. More fights, more missiles being thrown around. Dubai's getting hit. You got missiles hitting Tel Aviv, 20 people dead. Read articles in a different part of Israel I never heard of. More missiles striking them. They getting put to death. Okay, like an eagle flying away, it advises against obsessively pursuing riches, and that's what y'all do. Y'all constantly look at the stock market. I'm not in that mindset, man. Some people are, because they showing you where their heart is. Okay, the scriptures tell you in Matthew the 6th chapter, where your heart is, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also. Your mind's gonna be there. That's what your heart is, where your treasure is. Okay, your treasure should be in these scriptures, and that's it, because we understand in Proverbs 11:4 that riches profiteth not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So you're going to live by these scriptures. Your wealth ain't going to save you. The gold ain't going to save you. Your cheap ass, stupid ass silver coins ain't going to save you. You're going to get put to death having that shit. All right, you need a MOTB in order to buy or sell. Well, I don't know why people don't understand that. It advises against obsessively pursuing riches. And that's what y'all do. Y'all obsessively pursue riches. Like this place is going to last for you to spend the money that you ain't going to have the ability to spend it. There ain't going to be nothing in the stores. What are you going to buy with this money that you accumulating? Okay, that's what the famine's about. You're going to wish to have bread and water. But you want to get some Jordans, get them shits now. This nigga touching little boys, man. Second Esdras, chapter 6, verse 22. This is the time we heading into, man. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So you go to the supermarket, right? And there's nothing in there. In order for the food not to get there, let's go down to how does the food get there? You need the trucks. Where do the trucks get the food? They get it from the dock. What happens to the dock? The dock gets it from the boat. The boat comes from where? All the way where they're fighting right now. So if the boat can't get past the Gulf of Hormuz, how's it going to get to the dock to get on the truck to get to your supermarket? That's how you're suddenly going to appear unsown, because the truck ain't going to get there. All right? So this is what I'm talking about. We need to be prepared for this mentally, spiritually, physically, all of it, as much as we can. Okay, so long story short, riches don't profit you. The coordinated strikes on Iran by U.S. and Israeli forces, Operation Epic Fury. Now they kept switching this name, which I find funny. They at first, when they first bombed them, they were calling it Operation Roaring Lion. Why are they switching? And then after Operation Roaring Lion, they named it something else. No, they started off with Operation Hand in Hand. Then it was Operation Roaring Lion. Now it's Operation Epic Fury. So it's just been, and this is all within one day. Operation Roaring Lion. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me start with Operation Hand in Hand. Operation Hand in Hand is a nonprofit. No, Hand in Hand. Israel, U.S. strike on Iran on 28 February 2026. Israel and the United States launched a joint attack on various sites in Iran. The operation, codenamed Roaring Lion by Israel and Operation Epic Fury by the United States Department of Defense, targeted key officials, military commanders. So they both called it two different operations, okay. But what about this hand in hand? Yes, the joint military operation by the United States and Israel against Iran on February 28, 2026 was officially dubbed Operation Epic Fury, with reports indicating close coordination. The campaign aimed to neutralize. Yeah, but where's this hand-in-hand shit? I was listening to somebody bringing this out, and he said Operation Hand in Hand. But then he said that they switched it to Operation. I mean, it's already done. I'm just figuring. I just wanted to. I don't know, man. But they keep switching. Now it's Operation Epic Fury. And let's see what that means. Let's see what they're calling it. AI mode. Let's see what that means. A large-scale ongoing joint military offensive launched by the United States and Israel against Iran on February 2026, authorized by President Donald Duck following the failure of nuclear negotiations. The operation aims to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, destroy its ballistic missile arsenal, and degrade its proxy terror networks. Well, I don't think that's going to work. His ballistic missiles were successful. It hit all those targets. Where's the missile defense system that you should have been incorporating? You should have tried it right there. You had the perfect opportunity to do so. And this is just Iran by themselves. They don't got China. They don't got Russia involved. You know, I wonder why. As a matter of fact, let's look at Chinese news. Chinese news on Iran. Why China's ties with Iran will endure despite death of Khamenei. No. Why didn't China or Russia help Iran after they got bombed? I thought they were allies. Based on the historical context of World War II and the Cold War, China and Russia acted in their own strategic interests rather than a unified, selfless alliance during World War II. No, I'm talking about now, fool. You don't want to, I don't know. Probably for the same reasons why they did it. Oh, that's what it says right here. The coordinated strikes on Iran by U.S. and Israeli forces, Operation Epic Fury, have upended a global order in place since the end of World War II and triggered a new era of politics, not just in the Middle East, but between international allies and adversaries alike. What does that mean? For the latest developments, follow CNBC's live updates. How will markets and investors react? What are knee-jerk reactions versus long-term adjustments that will need to be made to investment strategies? Here are some of the assets to watch over the week. Sell-off in the Middle East. So the Middle East is going to be selling off their assets because probably they're preparing for war. Okay, during the war, people start selling their stocks. All right? And it looks like that's where this country's headed, which is good. This is a good thing. I mean, congratulations to the duck, man. You had a successful strike. You're doing a good job. You know, I have nothing to say against the man. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to be doing. He's the commander in chief. Who am I to say anything against what he's doing? If that's what he wants to bomb, hey, that's good. That's what he did. That's good, right? Stock markets across the Middle East came under pressure on Sunday in the first trading session for equities since the attack. Saudi Arabia's Tadawul, Oman's Muscat Index, and Bahrain's exchange all traded in the red. And that's everywhere that got attacked. While many of the other markets in the region did not open, indexes in Dubai, that didn't open. We wonder why. Dubai got hit. Abu Dhabi and Israel are set to resume trading on Monday. So we're going to find out tomorrow how your stock market is, how good it is. The impact is expected to reverberate across global markets. So I think the market's going to be bloody tomorrow. That's what I think. The oil trade. Oil markets will be the epicenter of volatility in the wake of the attacks. Traders are predicting that the Brent crude price will spike above $80 a barrel. According to Verisk Maplecroft, the outlook comes despite OPEC's recent decision to increase output earlier and by more than previously planned. $80 a barrel. How does $80 a barrel for oil translate to gas prices in America? Let's use AI. Get me the answer. At $80 a barrel for crude oil, U.S. retail gasoline prices typically settle between $3 and $3.40 per gallon. Where I'm at is around $2.89. So going up a little bit, that's not bad. I can afford $3.40 per gallon because 1 barrel of oil contains 42 gallons. The raw cost of the crude oil itself accounts for approximately $1.90 per gallon. This crude cost generally represents 50% to 55% of what you pay at the pump. Okay, great. Anything else? Strait of Hormuz disruption. Oil price volatility will be exacerbated by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm keep hearing the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Is there a closure of the Strait of Hormuz? Because I'm hearing it's still open. $100 oil. Prolonged Hormuz closure could spark. So it's a prolonged Hormuz. How U.S.-Israel attacks on Iran threaten the Strait of Hormuz oil markets. Russia warns of oil choke due to closure of Strait of Hormuz. Can Iran close the Strait of Hormuz after U.S. Israel attack? So this is all 10, 15, 11 hours, one day ago. It's not saying that there's a straight closure. Global shipping companies, including Maersk, MSC, Hapag, Lloyd, and others, have suspended all vessel transit through the route until further notice. Iran's Revolutionary Guard claimed to have struck a number of oil tankers in the Gulf in retaliatory strikes. So they're striking oil tankers, man. So that's going to have volatility in the price of oil. If they're striking that, they don't need to shut down the Gulf of Hormuz. Bring those oil tankers through and I'm going to stop busting at them. Now you got to pay more. It was unclear when the strait would reopen. So this is insinuating it's closed. Some vessels were being rerouted around Africa, adding time and cost to shipment. So that who's going to pay for that? The time and the cost. Airline chaos. There has been a huge disruption to air travel, with almost all the Middle East region's airspace closed since the strikes began. Over 1,500 flights were canceled across the region Sunday, while flight tracking site FlightAware said more than 19,000 flights have been delayed globally. Airlines are expected to remain under pressure as carriers work to reopen routes and arrange repatriation flights. So if 19,000 flights are being delayed, that's not just passenger. That's also, there's a lot of things that go through the air too. So there's airline chaos, Strait of Hormuz disruption, oil trade, sell-off in the Middle East, AI and Iran. The strikes also intersected with the market's broader focus on artificial intelligence. Until recently, investors had centered on AI's potential to reshape industries worldwide. While that theme may seem far removed from events in Iran, there appears to be an overlap between the two. According to a report from Axios, the U.S. military used Anthropic's Claude AI technology to support its strikes on Iran. I thought he was talking all this shit about Anthropic, saying how he wasn't going to use it, but now he's saying, this is saying the U.S. military used Anthropic's Claude AI technology to support its strikes on Iran. So, I'm telling you, man, this news is full of shit. He just said yesterday that he just said a bunch of shit about Anthropic. Oh my God, man, I'm just telling you, this nigga, man, he's hitting people upside the head. Anthropic news. OpenAI strikes deal with Pentagon hours after Trump administration bans Anthropic. What? See, they're full of shit, man. They're full of shit. So that was probably all a military ploy to use against, man, this is probably some high level fucking attack where, you know, they're using the news they weaponize the news against these other countries. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't know exactly, but this just shows you, because I was just reading about Anthropic yesterday. Pete Hegseth was saying, oh, we ain't gonna use it. We're actually gonna ban you from all government contracts. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, because the thing about AI, they give you real-time data to make decisions on the fly. So if he's saying he's not using that, then they probably thought they had more time to do certain things. And that little bit of time that lapsed, they were able to kill his ass. That's some high level shit. You know what? That just goes to show you, man, these different idols, you know, you think. That's how I know this is, to me, I'm just speaking through the spirit, that, you know, a lot of the Muslims ain't really about what they be talking about, man. You ain't serving your God properly, clearly. He's serving Baal properly. He's sacrificing kids. You got millions of kids moving. He doing exactly everything he need to do. That's the thing about Esau, man. When it comes to these, he's serving them those idols properly. He doing everything they telling him to do. He ain't scared to do wickedness, man. But you other nations, man, you full of shit. That's why you get killed like that. full of shit, and your God ain't helping you out. Until recently, investors had centered on AI's potential to reshape industries worldwide. While that theme may seem far removed from events in Iran, there appears to be an overlap between the two. According to a report from Axios, the U.S. military used Anthropic's Claude AI technology to support its strikes on Iran, even as the company was blacklisted by the Pentagon over how its technology is used. Anthropic has resisted Pentagon demands to allow unrestricted military use of Claude, and the Defense Department has moved to label the company a supply chain risk over the dispute. So that's shit they were saying yesterday. But guess what? Today's a new day. That's just old news, man. That shit don't matter. That was yesterday. We said we wasn't fucking with y'all, but now we done killed the president. Now we fuck with y'all. You know? All within 24 hours. Craziness, man. What comes next? What the rest of the week will bring remains unclear. President Donald Duck told CNBC's Joe Kernan that U.S. military operations in Iran are ahead of schedule. In a market spooked by uncertainty, it will be the known unknowns that keep investors on edge. What's the price of Bitcoin?
One Bitcoin equals $66,028.18.
Okay. So Bitcoin is pretty much doing good. So that was like 66,000 was like when it first went up. If it's still floating around there, that shows you how fucking wicked this fucking place is, man. Because these other countries, they use these cryptocurrencies to navigate these different types of sanctions. You know, a lot of that shit's gonna be skyrocketing. Even though I wouldn't be surprised if they ban cryptocurrencies somewhere down the road, saying that's funding terrorism around the world, because that's what it is. That's exactly what that shit is, man. What's this? All right, whatever. Next operation that's done. Turkish threat talked up in Israel as not a Jew focus on new alliances. So I found this. They were saying now Turkey's a threat all of a sudden. Relations between Israel and Turkey continue to deteriorate amid accusations and heightened geopolitical tension. So there you go. Let's go to Ezekiel 38. Every time Erdogan, I love when I hear about Erdogan. Any time they talk about Turkey. Because Turkey just be under the radar the whole time, man. You know, you don't really hear too much about Turkey, but you gotta kind of like, every now and again, I'll be just putting Turkey news, and he's doing things with Ethiopia. You know, he's in good relations with the other different Muslim countries, going in the second, they're just 15 and 28. Behold, a horrible vision in the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. So that's coming to pass, man. Second Edges 15:28 to about I think 35. It's speaking loudly, man. It's speaking, or it's starting to speak, I should say. It's not speaking loudly just yet. Because Turkey just got, Iran just got their ass whooped by Israel and the U.S. They fucked them niggas up. And they killed they just be slaughtering Iran. That's like target practice for them. That was nothing for them. They got them really good this time. And you know what? They good, man. They good at what they do. Judging by that, they use the news. They even used Marco Rubio, saying he was gonna send Marco Rubio over there to Iran, and they even use that propaganda, man. That's high level warfare, man. They're not playing with none of these people, man. They're not playing at all. You got war with them, if you ain't on your game, you're gonna get put to death. Just like Khamenei, your supreme leader, put to death. You fucking with these people right here. They're not fucking around, man. They showed you. You better step your fucking game up. You can't fuck with them. That's Esau and Amalek, man. WWE, off the top rope. One day, they were talking to you at a table. Now they just blowing you up. And if you saw the strike, it went right through. It was people stopped at a light. This shit went right into the ground. Through the ground. I don't even know how deep it went, and got whatever bunker was down there. Put them to death. That's amazing. That's some high level warfare, man. We're in a different time. You gotta admit you gotta recognize the power of Esau, man. Lord he sharpened that sword, man. That sword is sharp. Esau knows he ain't bearing the sword in vain. He know how to use the sword, man. And the whole world got to witness that. So they probably on back channels talking like, what are we gonna do? You know, you saw how we did that, man. You know, he used the news. He used this. He had us all discombobulated. Isaiah 9:5, for every battle of the warriors with confused noise. That's what he used. Confused noise, man. You would think he was doing this and doing that. Got your ass. And garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And that's exactly what he used. Burning and fuel of fire. Got him with a missile. All right? This ain't like back in the day. He's not using Morse code to kill your ass, man. He said CIA said he had intel. So somebody within your organization was taught, yeah, this is where he's at. All right? And who knows? He probably got better intel than you think. He probably ain't even none of your men. He probably got a little bug in there, like a literal bug. Probably got a fly in your office, man, recording all your shit. Here it is. You ain't got no internet. You ain't got shit. He still found you and killed your ass, man. That's some scary shit. You're gonna start seeing ghosts when people die like that. It get real spooky. Especially when you ain't even dealing with the internet. It's all word of mouth. You only talking when you going deep underground somewhere. You put your base, your bunker in a rural area. He don't give a fuck. That's why he bombed that school with it. Just to show you how much he don't give a fuck. That's how he puts fear in all of his enemies, because he don't give a fuck about nothing. He gonna kill his enemy. He don't give two shits. With the likelihood increasing of U.S. attack on Iran, Israeli politicians are already turning their attention to another regional rival, Turkey. So they calling it a regional rival. Let me grab this in Ezekiel 38. In verse 1, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. Let's look at this word, Gog. Gog means mountain, a prophetic prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. Let's see what Meshach and Tubal. Let's find this out. I know it's in the area of Turkey. Meshach and Tubal are identified in the Bible as sons of Japheth, descendants of Noah, who became ancient northern and militaristic nations, likely located near the Black Sea in modern-day Turkey, southern Russia, or Ukraine. So that's these different, as a matter of fact, just give me a good map here. Who are Meshach and Tubal in the Bible? Meshach, also spelled Meshach, and Tubal, the sons of Japheth, one of the three sons of Noah, who survived the flood with him in Genesis 10, 1-2. Meshach, whose name means long, tall, or drawn out by force, is the sixth son of Japheth. The land of Meshach is closely associated with that of Tubal. Especially in the prophecy of Ezekiel, the region of Meshach is often identified as being north of the Black Sea, southern Russia and Ukraine, and possibly the Republic of Georgia, and Tubal as an area in central Turkey. I know they're both in that area. pretty much talking about Turkey and Russia. They're going to be allied together. That's why they're in Ezekiel 38 together like that. The land of Meshach is used in Psalms 120 and 5. Let's see that. Let's see that. Psalms 120 and verse 5. Woe is me that I sojourn in Meshach, that I dwell in a tent of Kedar. What's this talking about? Psalm 125 is a cry of distress. Woe to me, where the psalmist laments being forced to live among hostile, deceitful people. Meshach and Kedar, representing a place far from God and peace. Prayer for deliverance from the treacherous. Okay. As a generic reference to barbarous regions where those who hate peace live, verse 6, the lands where Meshach and Tubal's descendants settled figure significantly in some prophecies of Ezekiel, and it is in that book where they are mentioned most. In the prophecy of Ezekiel 38, Meshach and Tubal are ruled by Gog, a prince over those territories. And we know Gog going into the Prince of Rosh, who we believe, or who I believe is Mr. Putin. Okay, and if it's not him, it's somebody over there. It looks like it's going to be him, though. Can't kill him. Bombed his house with some drones a couple months ago. He's still here. The word of the Lord came to me, son of man, set thy face toward Gog. We already know that. Ezekiel repeats God's words of judgment against the descendants of the two sons of Japheth when he prophesies that God will defeat them in a war against Israel. God will defeat them in a war against Israel. Ezekiel 39, 1 through 5. That's the next chapter. God will defeat them in a war against it. Well, all these nations are going to be defeated when he brings them in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay? Every nation is going over there to fight. It's going to be third world wars taking place over there in Saudi Arabia. And all these nations, all these governments are going to click up and fight up against the Lord. But there's going to be, of course, destruction and death amongst them. But then this alien invasion, so to speak, quote unquote, that's coming. Well, that's the Lord in the chariots of Israel. That's our salvation. That's their destruction. Many biblical scholars equate the land of Gog in Ezekiel's prophecies with Russia. That's right. Who will attack Israel from the far north? Ezekiel 38 and 15. Who will attack Israel from the far north? Well, yeah. Yep. They're going to be attacking America too. Meshach and Tubal could be two of the many nations joining Russia in the invasion of Israel. So, two of the many nations joining Russia in the invasion of Israel. But Meshach and Tubal is southern Russia in Turkey. That's where it's located geographically. It's not talking about the sons of Japheth. But these nations, the Lord's stirring up the spirit of the Medes. The Russians don't descend from the Medes, they're Edomites. But he's putting that spirit on them to come up against the modern day Babylon, just like the Medes did in the past in Daniel the 5th chapter. The advance of the alliance involving Meshach and Tubal will be like a cloud covering the land in Ezekiel 38 and 9. Some commentators believe this war, often called the Battle of Gog and Magog, will be one of the events leading up to the end times tribulation. One of the events leading up to the end times tribulation. One of the events leading up to the end times tribulation. The tribulation is going into Jacob's trouble. All right, where the MOTB. I mean, if anything, the tribulation is coming before this Battle of Gog coming, because the MOTB is going to be established before the battle is going to happen. Because that's when the Lord, that's the hour of temptation. That's when the Lord said when he's about to fill his belly, the wrath of God is coming, which is the thermonuclear destruction from all these other nations. So, but before that, they're going to be fighting them against the Lord too. So the tribulation comes actually before the battle of Gog and Magog, which Magog just means the land of Gog, which is talking about Russia. Others believe it will occur close to the midpoint of the tribulation, since Israel will feel secure at that time, dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. I gotta read Ezekiel 38. I'm going there. I just want to read the commentary. God will defeat his powerful alliance, Ezekiel 38, verse 22, to reveal his greatness to all the world, and verse 23, and restore the people of Israel to a right relationship with himself. Ezekiel 39, 21 through 29. Meshach and Tubal, despite the strength of their numbers, in help of their allies, will fall. That's right. So it's kind of hitting on some points, and it's kind of not lining up with the doctrine. All right. Gog means mountain, or the Prince of Rosh, the prophetic Prince of Rosh. All right, and then Magog. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Land of Gog, the mountainous region between Cappadocia and Media, inhabitation of the descendants of Magog, son of Japheth, and grandson of Noah. But we know this has nothing to do with Japheth. Talking about them damn Russians over there. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So Gog, that chief prince, is controlling that area. Okay, he's gonna be the main reason why things, he's being a guard unto them, so to speak. So he's, moving things around. If something happens, they're not moving until he moves, so to speak. Ezekiel 38 and 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, going into the Cold War. He's bringing back that USSR spirit on him, and I'll bring thee forth. And he already brought him forth, because now he's in Ukraine. He wasn't there. I think he went into Ukraine in, I forgot what year, but he already started bringing him forth. And all that army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And that's what you see is different military capability. You see from both sides. But clearly his whatever capability he has is better than the other side, because he's the one gaining the territory. Ezekiel 38 and 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Persia is Iran. Ethiopia is, Eastern Africa. Libya is Northern Africa with them. So there's different parts of Africa that are going to be aligned with Russia. And I just saw some news not too long ago with Turkey being in, they were just in Ethiopia discussing the economics with Ethiopia, just strengthening their ties together. And I'm sure they were discussing some military too. Gomer and all his bands. Gomer is known to be Turkey. The house of Togarmah of the North Quarters. Let's look up Gomer. Gomer is primarily known as the wife of the prophet Hosea in the Hebrew. No, Gomer is Turkey. Let's see what pops up. In a biblical prophecy in Ezekiel 38 and 6, Gomer is generally identified by scholars as a group of people originating from Asia Minor, which corresponds to modern-day Turkey, or specifically north-central Turkey. Let's see what map they're using. So it's all this area right here that's in red. It's mostly this area that's in green too. Okay. Let's see what else it says. Let's Gomer. I know Gomer to be Turkey, but Togarmah is like right next to it. So Togarmah. Togarmah is widely identified by scholars as ancient region corresponding to modern-day Eastern Turkey and Armenia. mentioned in Genesis 10 and Ezekiel 38. This area was historically known for breeding horses and mules. In biblical prophecy, Beth Togarmah represents a northern nation allied with forces against Israel. So nations in that area that are allied against Israel. Okay, and as we get closer and closer, we're going to start to see what nations in that area. But if you look at the map today, map of Turkey. So Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Syria. I mean, Togarmah and Turkey. Let's find an old map. Map of Gomer and Togarmah. Togarmah. I can't spell it. Togarmah. Where's the map? I normally see. Let me look at images. There's a specific map I remember. It kind of looks like this, but this is going off. Because it's putting Gomer like in Europe somewhere. Gomer is right next to Togarmah, which isn't pretty much in the same area. But in modern day, it's Georgia and Azerbaijan. So I don't know. Does Georgia have the nuclear capability? So it's just nations in that area of the North Quarters and all his bands and many people with these. So it's talking about these different alliances in that area. You know, we're gonna start to see who was who as we get closer to, you know, what nations in that area are aligned with Russia against Israel and Turkey. I'm sure Turkey has more influence than Israel does in this region. You got Turkey, you got Georgia, you got Azerbaijan. So it's basically this area here. All right. Then you got Russia all the way up north. This is all Russia coming all the way down to Georgia in Azerbaijan, but that was all Russia, the USSR. So Turkey pretty much shared a border with Russia at one point, which hence is the Meshach and the Tubal. Where was I? Ezekiel 38. Let me keep going. And 37. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia's going to be a guard unto these different alliances. Just like Persia. Persia just got sent out by itself. Ezekiel 38 and 7. A likely ironic divine command for Gog to fully mobilize, arm, and prepare his coalition of nations for an invasion of Israel. So he gonna prepare them, man. Now, how is he gonna prepare them? Probably giving them military capability, being a guard unto them. You know, some of these drones that they were using in Dubai, China dropped off some drones over there too. As a matter of fact, is China in that area? How far is China? China's way too far away. It emphasizes God's sovereignty, showing that even in assembling massive coordinated armies, God acts according to God's ultimate plan, which ends in the invader's destruction. Yeah, well, Gog's not going to be destroyed by Israel. That's what they don't understand. They think they're insinuating that the Lord's going to be protecting Israel against Gog. No, this is a prophecy for the downfall of Israel. And the truth, this is how it's going to bring its true inhabitants in the land of Israel. Because of Luke 21, verse 24, the time of the Gentiles need to be fulfilled. Because Gentiles are those heathen that are over there occupying the land today. They're not over there, they got in there by the strength of their own will. The Lord is not, where's King David, where's the rest of the tribes? That's not fulfilling prophecy. That's because you people don't understand the Lord. You don't understand the Bible. You don't understand prophecy. That's why you fucking stupid. Ezekiel 38:8. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. So the land that's brought back from the sword is Israel. What sword is that talking about? 70 AD. Okay. Now, clearly, if we're claiming to be Israel, we never were brought back over there. But a people claiming to be us is over there, fulfilling Luke 21, verse 24. Let's grab that, as a matter of fact, since I keep saying it. Luke 21, verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. This is talking about 70 AD, the actual Israelites, and shall be led away captive into all nations. When did this happen to Amalek? When was he led away? And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So it's being fulfilled right now, today. And is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. So I'm curious to see how they think about this. They're dwelling safely, all of them. They think they're safe, but they're not going to be. Whether it be more of this investments in military capability. America just sent them, I think, 60 billion or something, 6 billion, 66 something with $6 billion in military assets. They came up with some deal they giving over there, or maybe just $6 billion. Here, there you go. Ezekiel 38:8 describes a prophetic end-time scenario where a hostile force, Gog, is summoned in the latter years, which are the latter days, to invade or restore Israel. The land, once a long-term waste, is now inhabited by people gathered from many nations, living securely and peacefully. And that's talking about the heathen. Now, they living securely and peacefully now? No. But I do think there is going to be a time where the duck creates some form of peace. I truly believe he's going, because the scripture has to be fulfilled. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and 3. I'll start at the top. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So peace and safety. He just built the duck just created the board of peace. He's the chairman for life on the board of peace. Okay, so I do think, and he got not a Jew sitting at that. He got Russia sitting at the table. I don't know what other nations. Let's look at what nations are sitting on the board. What nations are sitting on the board of peace? Over 24 nations have joined President Duck's Board of Peace as of February 2026, aimed at managing Gaza's reconstruction and other conflicts, which is in Israel. Key founding members and participants include Israel, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey. Okay, that's Ezekiel 38. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Jordan, Morocco, Argentina, Belarus. Other nations that have agreed to join include Armenia and Azerbaijan. That could be part of that Meshach and Tubal. That's that Armenia and Azerbaijan. As a matter of fact, let me see if these nations have any nuclear capability. I doubt it. Based on current information and international reports, neither Armenia nor Azerbaijan possess nuclear weapons. Both countries are signatories to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty as non-nuclear weapon states. Okay, that could change, man. That could change. What was I? Hungary, Indonesia, and Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, Mongolia, Vietnam, and El Salvador, Bulgaria, Albania, and Kosovo. The board is chaired by Donald Duck and involves, according to reports, around 30 nations, with some controversy regarding the inclusion of certain autocratic leaders. Several nations, including Germany, Italy, Norway, and Sweden, declined invitation. So I think with that border peace, he is going to bring some form of peace. But when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction followeth upon them, as travail upon a woman with child. Okay, and that's going to be, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. So that's the time when Israel, those who are in the land today, are going to be in peace. You know, just through the Spirit. You know, they're going to have some form of, I think the Ducks are going to bring some form of safety, whether it be with Iran, working out some deal, and then sudden destruction. That's going to be the time where they're going to start bombing their ass during their ceasefire or whatever. Just like they do. They create ceasefires to get this shooting at you. That's what's going to happen to them. That's what the Lord's going to do. The same shit that happens to you, that you be doing to other people, that's what the Lord's going to do to you. You're going to bring the border peace. They're all going to agree. They're going to sign all your paperwork. They're going to agree to all your terms, and they're going to, shake their head. They're going to shake your hand, look you right dead in your face, in your eyeball, and they're going to push a button on you on a later date so you be destroyed. Ezekiel 38:9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. So this is going to be worse than October 7th. This is horrible. This is that horrible vision in 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter. Ezekiel 38:9 describes God fortifying the prophet to face a rebellious, stubborn nation. This is Ezekiel 3:8, verse 9. That's not what I put in. It just keeps giving me, it don't want to tell me. Let's ask ChatGPT this. This nigga's technology is full of shit. That nigga knows he's going down. He don't want you there. You don't want you people to know what's going on. Because you ain't really worried about what's going on in the Bible. And you shouldn't be. Ignorance is bliss when it comes to this world. Ezekiel 38:9. This chapter is dealing with Gog and Magog, a future confederacy that comes up against the Lord's people in the latter days. Well, not the Lord's people. Okay. Coming up against the land of Israel. Thou shalt ascend to go up in military campaign. In ancient language, nations go up to invade. This is talking about a power rising up aggressively against Israel. That's right. Come like a storm. Storm represents suddenness, violence, destruction. Precepts, Isaiah 29:6, the Lord visits with storm and tempest. That's right. And the storm and the tempest are these militaries. Daniel 11:40, the king of the north comes like a whirlwind. That's right. Meaning the invasion will be fast and overwhelming. So that's why that Euphrates River, all of these people, man, Turkey, Northern Africa, Eastern Africa, all right, all these different nations are going to come in. They were able to do that with parachutes. Why not a bunch of different, who knows what they're going to be doing or how they get in there. They might have some drones. Who knows how it's going to be done, but it's going to be done just like the Lord said it. Like a cloud to cover the land, a cloud covering land, massive army blotting out everything. Not a small skirmish. This is a full military occupation force. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a shit ton of drones. Precepts, Joel 2 verse 2, a great people cut in missiles and all of that, just everything. Revelation 20 and 8, Gog and Magog gather in number as the sand of the sea. This shows sheer numbers in global scale. All thy bands and many people with thee, bands, troops, divisions, allied forces. This is a coalition war. Preceding verses mentioned Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, Gomer, Togarmah. This is not one nation alone. It's a multinational alliance. What this means prophetically in a GMS understanding, this is speaking of a latter-day northern power, often identified as Russia, leading a confederacy. They invade the land after Israel has been regathered. It results in World War III. The Lord intervenes directly. The spiritual angle, though Gog thinks he's acting on his own. Ezekiel 38:4, I will turn thee back. That's already passed. The Most High is controlling the invasion. That's right. Just like Pharaoh was raised up in Romans 9 verse 17, Assyria was the rod of his anger in Isaiah 10:5. So Gog is a tool of judgment. That's right. So the Russians. Ezekiel 38:9 is describing a massive end-time military invasion, sudden and overwhelming, involving many allied nations, ultimately orchestrated by the Lord for judgment. It don't mention Babylon because that evil thought is him nuking this place too. This place is going to get hit, man. Who knows? While this place is getting hit, he probably sending troops over there too. It might be a simultaneous event. Really get you all, discombobulate you. You got nuked, you trying to find out where that nuke came from. Probably coming from a country you didn't even know had nukes. And then Israel's getting attacked. Who you going to protect? Your own people, or what are you going to do? That's what we're going to find out. If you want, I can now break down now you did enough. Ezekiel 38 and verse 9. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. So at the same time that Israel's being invaded, now you're getting this evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Now, the land of all unwalled villages is America, okay? Because it's known, even though it has walls, it has that fence around here, but it's always been known to have all these immigrants just come across the border, okay? But now, even though he has a fence, it's really these missiles that are going to be coming over here. Okay, because when you read Joel, the 2nd chapter, it's likened unto these missiles as like, let's see how they word it in Joel chapter 2. Joel chapter 2, and where is it? Yeah, Joel, I'll just start the top. Blow ye a trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. So we're blowing the trumpet to Zion, telling you about this terrible day that the Lord's going to bring about via bringing out the prophecies, also bringing it out with different precepts, different news articles, showing you that this is the time when the Lord's going to destroy this place. When I say this place, I'm talking about Babylon and Israel. Joel 2:2. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. So he's describing these missiles as a great people and a strong. Okay, so they're going to be coming into this land of unwalled villages. Fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. So it's not talking about a great people coming over here to invade Babylon the Great. It's talking about thermonuclear missiles, a fire devour before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, going into Isaiah 34 and Isaiah the 13th chapter. That wilderness is going to be like a desert land after the fire is extinguished. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. So they fast. Okay, they're you know how horses run, they kick the dirt behind them. That's kind of how these missiles are gonna come. You know, they you're gonna see that the trail of it coming, because it's burning the fuel. It's gonna just like horses. Joel 2:5, like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains. You can listen to how when Iran just bombed Tel Aviv, it sounded like lightning striking, like boom. You can hear it right before it. You hear that like you can hear the noise of it. You know, before they strike. On the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pain, all faces shall gather blackness. So before their face the people shall be much pain. And you're going to be thinking, oh my God, we about to get nuked. You know, especially when you hear about the devastation that's going on in other areas. You might be in one place, like, yo, fucking Chicago just got hit with a nuke. And you might think that might just be the first one. Let you know he ain't playing. And while they thinking about retaliating, he's already doing something else. Then you're going to see missiles flying up. And then you're going to know, hold on. If we're sending missiles, how much time do we got left? That's when you're going to be much pain. That's when your face is going to be turned into blackness. That's when this word, you're going to wish you listened to the prophets of the Lord. That's when you're going to know that a prophet has been among you. That's when you're going to know that's it for your ass. You're going to be destroyed. And that's when you're going to be looking for a savior. That's when you're going to be praying to something that you're going to be praying to the wrong God. You're going to realize you've been praying to the false God. You're going to acknowledge Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Then you're going to see the reward of the righteous. And you're going to see, just like the missiles went up to go somewhere else, you're going to see the salvation of his elect. Joel 2:7, they shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. So there's not going to be, the golden dome ain't going to work. Okay, they're not going to break their ranks. They're going to hit everywhere they're deemed to hit. These missiles that Russia and these other nations that he's guarding, the capability he's going to give them is going to be precision strikes with thermonuclear missiles. Joel 2:8, neither shall one thrust another, meaning they're not going to blow each other up. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. The sword's the iron dome. They're not going to be wounded by that. So when he talks about, I want to go into Greenland, and so, you know, for strategic purposes, that's vanity. Nothing's going to stop the prophecies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So if you put your trust in that, then that's putting your trust in the wrong thing. Joel 2:9, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. And that's talking about the wind, when you know, the fire that's going to devour once it hits. That you get that plume of smoke and fire, and that's what's going inside the houses, and you should see it when it devastates a house. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Because it's going to be all that massive destruction. It's going to block out the sky. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? So who's going to be able to abide in thermonuclear destruction? Nothing. Joel 2 verse 12, therefore also now saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your heart and not your garments, and turn unto the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him from of the evil. So you got to repent during this grace period. Who knoweth if he will return and repent and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto the Lord your God? Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare thy people, O Lord, and give not thine heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, where is their God? So this is the time to repent, and this is the terrible vision. That's what's coming. Ezekiel 38. Is there any more on that? I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Now, this is land of unwalled villages is Israel too. They're both using that iron dome. That ain't gonna save you. Okay, you think you at rest from all of that, and that's not gonna help you. Because you got prophecy working against you. The Lord's going to put the spirit. Because these missiles, there's spirits on them, man. These are spirits created for vengeance. They're going to do exactly the commandment of the Lord. Ezekiel 38:12, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. It kind of jumps after Ezekiel's a little different. It jumps, I don't know if it jumps here. Sheba and Dta&I and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey? To carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, in the day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? Day when my people dwell safely, shalt thou not know it? And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And I believe this is talking about the Medes. Let me look at my notes. Let me see if I got something here real quick, because we were ruled over already by the Persians and the Medes. As a matter of fact, let me look at the Persians and the Medes. Map of the territory of the 120 provinces of Persia. Let me see if it went into Israel too. Did the Persians occupy Israel in ancient times? Let me see all. Yes, the Persians occupied and ruled the land of Israel during the two distinct historical periods. The first most significant ever was the Persian period, when Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon and allowed Israelite exiles to return and rebuild the temple. A second shorter and violent occupation occurred from 614 to 628 CE during the Byzantine Sasanian War. Anyways, Ezekiel 38, verse 15. And thou shalt come forth. Let's see if this is talking about, as a matter of fact, if it goes into Persia or not. Ezekiel 38, verse 15. Let's see, I want to look at my notes, see if I have anything written on this. Ezekiel 38, verse 15, nothing. Prophesies a future massive end times coalition led by Gog from a far north, invading a peaceful regathered Israel with a mighty cavalry. It signifies a divinely orchestrated. You know what? I gotta go into chat so I can ask it questions. Thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts. North parts, biblically, major invasions into Israel came from the north, and even eastern empires invaded through the northern corridor. Prophetic understanding, the north parts points to a latter-day northern power, identified as Russia. Russia is geographically north of Israel. This connects to the king of the north in Daniel 11. Many people with thee. It's just saying the same thing. Hold on, where am I? Riding upon horses, a great company, and the mighty army. Okay. Could Ezekiel 38 verse 15 be describing when the Persians and the Medes invade Israel after, not after, let me just leave it there, invade Israel. Let's see what pops up. Sure, it's very unlikely that Ezekiel 38:15 is describing the Medo-Persian invasion of Israel in antiquity. The Medes and the Persians under Cyrus the Great did not invade Israel to destroy it. All right, that's not what I'm talking about then. And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts. It jumps somewhere. I'm just trying to figure out where. Ezekiel 38:16. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel. So I think it's 16 is what I'm talking about. Because my people Israel's talking about the Israelites and not talking about these Gentiles. As a cloud to cover the land, it shall be in the latter days. And I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. So maybe this is what I'm looking for. Ezekiel 38, verse 16. Could this be talking about the Persians and the Medes? It does not fit the historical Medo-Persian period under the Medes and Persians. Let's examine why. It means end of days, latter time. It did say that. What shall befall thy people in the latter days? Israel returns in the latter days. What did the Medes and Persians actually do? Allowed Israel to return. Chat's not going to help me, but I got to finish up my notes on this, because but not as Persia is listed, but not as a leader. They don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm not asking it. I want to kind of put some stress on my thought process to bring about, but I don't have my notes for some reason. I don't have any notes on Ezekiel 38:15. Thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company, and a mighty army. I know it jumps, but I forgot where. Because it's going back and forth, back into, just like Revelation, the 20th chapter. Thus saith the Lord God, Ezekiel 38, verse 17, thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I would bring thee against them? And then it comes back to the prophecy, and it shall come to pass at that same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord Yahweh, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. Now that's talking about the destruction of Israel. That's talking about thermonuclear destruction. All right. Now when you go into chat's thinking about it as if the verse just continues. It's not going precept upon precept, so chat doesn't really understand. But we know through our elders that Ezekiel 38 jumps, and it's somewhere around there where it's actually talking about, I believe it's talking about the Medo-Persians, but I gotta get back into that. I think from 13 to 17, I gotta get that. Ezekiel 38, verse 19, for in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, which is talking about the thermonuclear destruction, so that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the field and all creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. Every wall shall fall to the ground. Now that matches up with Matthew the 24th chapter. He said every stone shall be turned, or something like that. Let me grab that real quick. Matthew 24. And 2. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So that's matching up with what the Lord said. Ezekiel 38 and 20. And the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And that's talking about the utter obliteration of Israel. Now, that didn't happen during Rome. You know, they came in like a flood, but they didn't destroy Israel. You know, the whole land and all of that. Ezekiel 38, verse 21, and I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Lord Yahweh. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, and overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. So the Lord is going to destroy them too. That's when the Lord's gonna come. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord. So the Lord's coming too. 9 dead in missile attack on Israel as Iran strikes region. At least 9 people have been killed and 27 injured in a missile strike on the Israeli city of Beit Shemesh, emergency services say. So they struck them back. Iran struck another Israeli site, supposedly killed 9 people. They struck multiple stuff. You know, so where's the Iron Dome? Why didn't it protect that area? You know, it's not 100%. And then where some of their propaganda is all bullshit too. It might struck something else and be like, oh well, that's not because of the dome. That's because, you know, whatever. To try to justify the numbers, it's probably higher than that. How many Iran actually? They never tell you the truth, man. This is from Al Jazeera. 10 killed in pro-Iran protests at U.S. Consulate in Pakistan's Karachi. So these people were protesting at a U.S. embassy in Pakistan. And they were forced to open fire on the protesters. They killed a bunch of people, U.S. military in Pakistan, because they were protesting about the supreme leader being killed. And then U.S. opened fire in another country on their civilians. A paramilitary force vehicle is parked on a road as smoke rises in the background after pro-Iran protests outside the United States Consulate in Karachi, Pakistan, March 1st, 2026. At least 10 people have been killed and more than 70 others wounded near United States Consulate in the Pakistani city of Karachi after protests broke out following the killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in U.S.-Israeli attacks. So there you go. 3 American troops killed, and Duck says more likely in war against Iran. He just says more likely. Amman, Jordan, and Washington, President Duck said more U.S. service members will likely be killed in the U.S. in an Israeli war against Iran after the Pentagon confirmed on Sunday that 3 U.S. service members were killed and at least 5 were seriously wounded. And that's what war does, man. 3 American troops killed in war against Iran. What did they do? In an address posted online Sunday afternoon, Doug said the U.S. grieves for the service members killed, calling them true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. Yeah, right. The righteous mission. You die for nothing. Oh, I can't say you died for nothing. You didn't die for righteousness' sake. Dying for righteousness' sake is standing up for the Lord first and foremost, and telling his people who they are according to the Bible, and standing stiffly for the name of the Lord. So you didn't die for that. You died for wickedness' sake. That's what I meant to say. What else did I want to say? I forgot. In an address, I read that. And sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. That's the way it is, Doug said in the address posted on True Social. Speaking behind a podium with the presidential seal, he said America would avenge their deaths, accusing Iran of waging war against accusing Iran of waging war against civilization. You can't make this shit up, man. Nigga bombed them and said he's accusing them. False accusations. U.S. Central Command confirmed U.S. casualties on Sunday, the first American casualty since the United States and Israel launched strikes on Saturday. The first American casualty since in Israel, you got people that got put to death in Syria too. A U.S. official not authorized to speak publicly told NPR that the troops who were killed were ground-based forces stationed in Kuwait. Probably Jake's. He don't give a fuck about sacrificing y'all. Oh, that's why I was thinking about this black chick who got sent to Iran. And that was just some posts I saw. And she wasn't happy about that. You know? She thought she'd just join the military and benefit. And they sent her over there. And then you look at some of the U.S. All I see is a bunch of little kids. Is it me, or is that what the military looks like? A bunch of little girls twerking online. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know. Is that what you're sending over there to fight Iran? You might as well just shoot yourself in the head. Don't even waste your time. Just kill yourself. It says, speaking behind a podium with the presidential seal. I read all that. I read that. A U.S. official not authorized to speak. I read that too. The U.S. military said several other service members were returning to duty after sustaining what it called minor shrapnel injuries and concussions. Minor, sure. From shrapnel? I doubt that. As the U.S. military detailed the scope of its Operation Epic Fury, someone called it Epstein Fury. You got the fury of these Epstein files. I thought that was funny. I would love to, because he'll throw it right in your face. This is probably an acronym for something. I tried to look it up, but it didn't say anything. Central Command said Sunday it had struck an Iranian Jamarin-class corvette, a small warship, and that the ship was sinking at a pier at an Iranian port on the Gulf of Oman. In a separate post, the military said US B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs struck Iran's ballistic missile facilities on Saturday night. Over 1,000 targets have been struck, according to CENTCOM. Doug also said earlier that U.S. forces had sunk 9 Iranian naval ships and largely destroyed Iran's naval headquarters. U.S. Central Command would not confirm the claim. Still, Doug warned more attacks were coming. We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea also, Doug wrote on True Social. We'll see. Sounds good, though, Doug. Sounds good. Hundreds gather in Boston for a rally in response to U.S. attacks on Iran. We are happy. They're saying now we can go back to Iran and visit, and I'm so happy what he did, and he's did so good. Here's the quote here. We are happy that finally the help arrived, and Duck is helping the protesters as he promised a few weeks ago. Mahan Abdul Halabah, whatever the hell her name is, said this is not a war between USA and Iran. This is a war between USA and Islamic Republic, the terrorist regime. You people are out of your damn minds, man. So you want a regime change in a foreign country, you ain't got nothing to say what's going on over here. So that's why, I'm hoping the Lord brings these detention centers, the MOTB. I want to see surgeries putting chips in these damn heathens' heads, put it in their right arms, their right hand, give it to them. Give them what they want. They want it, let them have it. Let them get that grievous sore. Let them beg for food and shit like that, since they're up for it. Many of the people attending the rally said that they left the country decades ago in fear of the regime, but now see the attacks as a way to get back home. You get back home if you want. Your own people gonna slay you. Go over there. As a matter of fact, photos: tearful Iranians protest Khamenei's killing with chants of death to America and Israel. So there you go. These are people who actually live there. They're mad about those attacks, and you got people in America cheering it on so they can go back to their country. Who knows? People died. They had family members that got put to death, and these people are protesting in Boston about something they have nothing about. They're so disconnected from the state of their own people. They're foolish. Thousands of Iranians gathered in the streets to grieve the passing of the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, amid the U.S.-Israeli attack. So this is millions of people gathering, and then you got a small group by the this is in front of the library. I'm not gonna use it because they just giving niggas strikes for nothing. You can't even use it. I just use news. I don't even use everything else. In front of the Boston Library, it's probably maybe 200 people. This is hundreds of thousands of people protesting against this. Pro-Iranian people protesters gather against the U.S. bombing of Iran at Pike Place Market in Seattle on Saturday. That's a different place. People hit roads to mourn after Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in Israeli and U.S. strikes on Saturday in Tehran, Iran, March 1st. People mourn the death of Iran's supreme leader. Look at this picture, man. Of course, it ain't gonna let me see it. Oh, maybe it will. It's a horrible pic. So they don't know what the hell's going on over there. They said they were calling the people over there and how happy they are. These people don't look happy. So what the fuck are you people talking about? These don't look like people who are happy, man. All right? So disconnected from your own culture, you won't even go over there. People are full of shit. They're burning images. I guess some people are demonstrators in support. Hold on. Demonstrators in support of a war in Iran at City Hall in Los Angeles, California. That's here in the U.S. So over here, they want somebody to go over there and have an Epstein's files and have kids missing. They want that shit to happen over there. They're cool with all that shit. People expressed fury over the death of Khamenei, who was killed in joint U.S. and Israeli strikes at a square in Tehran. Yeah, everyone ain't happy about that, man. True Social Post, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history. That's what Duck said. People rally after Iran's supreme leader was killed on Saturday. Look how many people that is, man. You can't even fit all these people in front of the Boston Library. This is a whole street, man. Probably millions of people. And you're telling me he's telling them to go fight against their government? They're probably like, who the fuck are you talking to? Who the fuck are you talking to? And then mid-speech, he was bombing them too. A woman holds a poster with the picture of Iran's supreme leader as people gather after Khamenei was killed. Yeah, they just love when you kill their generals and their presidents. Of course they love that. Yeah, I'm doing it for you. Government supporters chant slogans as they gather in mourning after state TV officially announced the death of Iranian supreme leader. Yeah, it don't look like they want to overthrow their government. FBI investigating Austin mass shooting as potential terrorism. Another mass shooting. I know people don't care about these mass shootings, but people are so desensitized to it. But I think this one was a Jake too. The gunman in an early Sunday mass shooting in Austin wore a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah." So Esau's up to no good, man. And another shirt with an Iranian flag design, a law enforcement official told AP. Come on, man. Yeah, he just had to wear a shirt, "Property of Allah." He wanted to tell you so much as he was doing this. He wanted you to know everything about who we worship. And another shirt with an Iranian flag design. What is that supposed to mean? A law enforcement official told AP. So yeah, so what? What are you insinuating? This nigga's a devil, man. Yeah, he had a property of Allah, and then he had a note in his back pocket saying how much he just investigating the shooting in a downtown bar district at a potential act of terrorism with the same FBI that can't release the files. Kash Patel got something to do with this? Kash Patel's full of shit. The latest as 53-year-old Nedayaga Dayagdi, a naturalized U.S. citizen originally from Senegal. The law enforcement official and another person familiar with the matter told AP. Originally from Senegal. Esau probably got chips in these niggas' heads, man. I'm telling you. This shit don't make any sense. Texas Governor Greg Abbott drew a link to the Middle East conflict in a Sunday statement, though FBI officials haven't confirmed any such connection. Greg Abbott, what the fuck Greg Abbott know about anything? He drew a link. Greg Abbott told you Democrats to get the fuck out of Texas. You. I don't know if he said he was going to kill you, but he definitely said he was going to arrest you. Let me look at this double too. Greg Abbott said he was going to arrest Democrats wasn't that long ago. Has issued orders for the arrest of Democratic lawmakers on two separate occasions in July 2021 and August 2025 after they fled the state to block Republican-led legislation by breaking quorum. In August 2025, over 50 Democratic members of the Texas House fled to states including Illinois and New York to prevent a vote on a new congressional map backed by Donald Duck. Arrest orders. Abbott ordered the Texas Department of Public Safety to locate, arrest, and return to the House chamber any member who abandoned their duty. Civil versus criminal. These are civil arrests, not criminal, under House rules. The sergeant at arms can be authorized to send for an arrest absent members to compel their attendance. Additional threats. Abbott also threatened to seek their removal from office for abandonment, has suggested they could face felony charges if they used raised funds to pay their $500 daily fines. Jurisdiction. Because these are state-level civil warrants, Texas law enforcement lacks the authority to arrest the lawmakers while they remain outside of Texas. But even when he was doing that, it was like some funny shit behind it. Duck was using He was arresting people and not giving them any just what do you call it? Due process. To anyone who thinks about using the current conflict in the Middle East to threaten Texans or our critical infrastructure, understand this clearly. Texas will respond with decisive and overwhelming force to protect our state, he said. Catch up quick, the FBI declined to say if it was treating the shooting as domestic or foreign terrorism. The incident left 3 dead and 14 injured. Where did he go? What did he do? It's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, said Alex Doran, acting special agent in charge of FBI San Antonio field. I'm telling you, did he go into a bar? What did he do? Mass shooting in Austin. FBI investigating potential nexus to. Let's go to AI mode. Maybe they can explain it. You people can't write articles for shit. A mass shooting occurred in downtown Austin's West 6th Street Entertainment District in the early hours of Sunday. The attack left 3 people dead, including the gunman, and 14 others injured, 3 of whom were in critical condition. It was a bar shooting. And this is the dude. Okay, what kind of gun did he use? Shooting, 1:58 a.m., a gunman in an SUV drove past Buford's Backyard Beer Garden Bar on West 6th Street several times before stopping, turning on the hazard lights and opening fire on people at a patio and in front of the bar with a pistol out of the window of his vehicle. He then parked near Wood Street, got out of his vehicle, and began shooting at people in the area with a pistol and a rifle. The first 911 call was made at 1:59. So in 1 minute, officers who were stationed nearby responded a minute later and fatally shot him. The gunman only shot from outside the bar. All right, good to know. This ain't the time to be playing. People like going to bars and shit. That shit can happen to you. That shit can happen to you. Let me grab this in Ephesians. Niggas want to play too damn much. Let's go to the bar. No, go ahead. That's a good place to be. Better measure the times diligently before you go. Lord might be setting your ass up. Now, there's nothing wrong going with a bar, but you better make sure you got a good relationship with the Lord, man. That comes first before you do anything. Because if not, shit like this can happen to you. Ephesians 5 verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. You got to be wise out here. You got to use wisdom. And if you ain't operating in wisdom, the Lord ain't dealing with you. Pay careful attention then to how you walk. This phrase emphasizes the importance of vigilance and intentional in the Christian life. The metaphor of walking is frequently used in Scripture to describe one's conduct or way of life. In the cultural context of the first century Greco-Roman world, walking was a common mode of transportation, symbolizing a journey or path. The call to pay careful attention suggests a need for discernment and mindfulness, echoing Proverbs 4:26-27, which advises careful consideration of one's path. This vigilance is necessary because the surrounding culture often promotes values contrary to Christian teachings. That's right. That's right, man. Not as unwise, but as wise. The contrast between wisdom and folly is a recurring theme in biblical literature, particularly in the wisdom books like Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Wisdom in a biblical sense is not merely intellectual knowledge, but a practical application of God's truth in daily life. And James 1:5 encourages believers to seek wisdom from God, who gives generously In the historical context of Ephesus, a city known for its diverse religious practices and philosophical schools, the call to live wisely would have been particularly poignant. What does this word poignant mean? Describes something that evokes a strong, keen sense of sadness, regret, or deep emotional reflection. It refers to touching, moving, or heartfelt moments, memories, or scenes that often strike a delicate balance between beauty and melancholy. Melancholy, what the hell? I don't know what this word means. What the fuck? I can't look it up. Whatever. Maybe if I go this way. Look that up. Melancholy. How you say that? A feeling of pensive sadness. You gotta keep looking damn words up. Typically with no obvious cause. What the hell is pensive? Engaged in or reflecting deep or serious thought. Whatever. Okay. The wisdom referred to here aligns with the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom, and is ultimately embodied in Yahushua HaMashiach, who is described as the wisdom of God. So, the Lord is our example. Now, he drank. The Lord, the scripture's called Wine Bibber, KJV. Matthew 11, verse 19. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a wine bibber, a friend of publicans and sinners, but wisdom is justified of her children. Let's look this up. So it's not that you can't drink, you got to use wisdom, though. You don't want to be putting yourself in harm's way. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, here's a glutton. This verse highlights the false accusations made against Yahushua regarding his association with social outcasts. Did the Lord drink wine? Let's find out. According to the Bible, Yahushua, God in human form, did drink wine. He contrasted himself with John the Baptist by noting he came eating and drinking in Luke 7:34, was accused of being a wine bibber, drunkard by critics, and produced high quality wine at the wedding in Cana. That's right. So it's not like you can't drink, man. You still got to operate in wisdom. There's never an excuse to put folly over your wisdom. Oil prices jump after ships attacked near Strait of Hormuz. Global oil prices have jumped after at least 3 ships were attacked near the Strait of Hormuz as Iran continues to launch strikes across the Middle East in response to ongoing attacks by the U.S. and Israel. So if they're striking these ships in the Strait of Hormuz, man, that can be detrimental to your gas prices. Let's jump down. The market isn't panicking, Saul Kavanagh, head of energy research at MST Research, told the BBC. The market will be watching for signs that traffic through the Strait of Hormuz returns, which would see oil prices subside again, he added. Some analysts have warned it could go over $100 in the event of a prolonged conflict. On Sunday, the OPEC group of oil-producing nations, which included Saudi Arabia and Russia, agreed to increase their output by 206,000 barrels a day to help cushion any price rises. But some experts doubt this would help much. The turmoil and bombing across the Middle East will surely be a catalyst to disrupt oil distribution globally, which will inevitably lead to price hikes, he said. The magnitude and duration of pump price increases depends on how long the conflict goes on. Anyways, that's all I got. I'm going to end it here. Lord's will, this was edifying. Shalom.